welcome to a very hazy afternoon here in the magnificent Masai Mara. We're looking up towards the Olololo escarpment in the area where the Angama pride disappeared this morning, and they were looking quite hungry, so I'm hoping they're going to be around here somewhere. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Craig, aka the Batman, on camera with me, and we're hoping to find some lions this afternoon. Madam McCurdy is bumbling around trying to get stuck again somewhere down that way, and hopefully we're going to be able to find you these lions. It's quite a scary spot to be driving off-road. There are some massive holes, and now with the grass this long, you've got to keep your wits about you. Now remember, if you have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live. It would be the best way to get hold of us on whatever platform you might be watching on. So, let us adventure forward slowly into the very long, very windy grass. Now we've already nearly hit one big hole, so often how you tell where a big hole is the grass species will change, or the color of the grass will change. It'll get suddenly a lot darker, greener, especially if there's water in the hole. Now, while I've set out to search for lions, it seems like Madam McCurdy has beat me to the punch.
For the first time in a very long time, Brent, I've managed to find cats before you, but I did have some inside intel, ha ha ha. But yes, we do have a pride of lions sitting up on a termite mound on a very windy day out here in the Mara Triangle. Welcome everybody, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Adrian, and you are watching a live and interactive safari. So as Brent would have told you, you can chat to us, but just a reminder, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat, and I look forward to hearing from you. Or a little bit later I'll give you some time to type and think of some questions. However, now I haven't quite worked out which pride of lions we've got. We're kind of in the same boat as Brent, as we're in a non-off-roading area, so sadly we're quite limited as to where we can go. Now, already 3 lionesses have walked down the termite mound just as these lions are doing now. I wonder if this is not the pride of lions that Brent is looking for. I wonder if this is not the Angamas. They look like there are quite a few cubs, and there could have been a few more. So once they all leave the termite mound, which I think they'll do, then we'll try and reposition and go around and see if we can find the rest of the family. But big yawns from all the cats this afternoon. On they go, into the lioness. And those two look like they're not wanting to go anywhere anytime soon. It is, of course, it's been a confusing day. It's been cloudy and a bit overcast. There's haze is still around. It's been very windy. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is the Angama pride, as yesterday they did a similar thing in terms of traveling so far in order to try and find some food. Brent was saying how hungry the lions are. And we know that, I was sitting with the Angamas yesterday morning and we watched them take down a warthog. So, I wonder what they're going to go looking for. They obviously have realized that there isn't much food. I can't believe they're not back at the escarpment though, because coming down that hill there were plenty of zebra, topi, the 7 wildebeest that live on the Olololo escarpment, as well as a massive herd of buffalo. However, the buffalo tend to chase the lions around a fair amount at the moment. They're all big and strong, lots of vegetation around for them to eat, so they really, really are healthy. I hope that they come towards this road though. I mean, that's going to be ideal. Lilu, you've said that there's so many lions around at the moment, and you absolutely love it. So do I, and I'm pretty sure all the cameramen that work for Wild Earth enjoy it too. It's not nice filming grass. I just spoke to a guide, the same guide that said there were lions around here. We're not far from the bridge and the Little Governor's Road, in case Brent is wanting to exactly know where we are. And basically what he'd said to me, he said his words exactly were, there are hundreds of lions down on the border. So that's going to make Brent and I very excited, because over the next few days I think we're going to be heading out to the border, maybe tomorrow morning. Brent is going to have a little bit of a sleep in tomorrow morning, and maybe Rolf and I can make our way down there. He loves visiting the hyena den. He can pop past there, but it'd be nice to try and find those leucistic hyena, find all these prides of lions that everyone's talking about, of course, test the signal and perhaps a cheetah. But I think we're going to have to save the cheetah for Brent, because that's been his favorite thing. He's been wanting to find a female with cubs for such a long time. So, seeing as though he's just come back to work, wouldn't that be a nice welcome home? Now, you can see the camera is jumping around quite a bit. Like I said, it's very, very windy, and these lions are very, very far away. So, I'm even trying to not breathe too much, because I'll make the car shake. Now, come on, little lion. Everybody else is left. It's like that one doesn't even know that they've gone off. And some cats, of course, do just find themselves in a seriously deep sleep, not really wanting to go anywhere. You're fooling me, little kitty. Wake up. I don't know where they've all gone. I don't think they've gone far. There could still be some more just scattered on the other side of the mound. You can see it twitching its ears, so in case any of you are going, it's dead! It's not dead. It is alive. It's just a very tired kitty. Remember, when you're that young, most of your day is spent playing with your siblings and, tormenting your mothers, and that can be quite tiring, and they often need a bit of time to recover. So that's what's happening there. Here we go. Some more sign of life. Perhaps it's going to pop its head up and then realize that everyone's left it. David, you said it would be great to see the Musketeer Coalition at some point. Me too. If I knew where they were, I would be sitting with them every single day. However, every time I've been down towards Serena, towards the Mara River, checking their usual fave spots, they've been nowhere to be seen. So the river was down quite a bit. I wonder if they didn't cross and go just the other side. And they could be spending some time there. And then obviously we haven't driven up in that corner of the Masai Mara National Reserve. We spent our time around the Fast Five, around the Talek region, and then the Black Rock Pride, which is towards the Sand River Valley, towards the south. So we weren't anywhere near this sort of northeastern corner, this northern section, where they like to hang around. Are you just going to go right to the top now? Scanning, searching for everybody? And these cubs are getting to the point now where they're old enough that if mom says, right, we're going 3 times, and you don't listen, you're going to get left behind. And you're going to have to play catch up. Although this little lion's looking in the wrong way. You need to look to the left. Everybody's gone down. There we go. Well done, little fella. Okay, well, that means we're going to have to try and find these lions again. And I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do that. I haven't quite worked out which route we're going to take just yet. If we need to go up along the forest, because I know there is a little track that cuts across, or perhaps we can get to that same track a little bit down this road over here. Right, Brent is to the northeast of where I'm sitting. Perhaps I've sent him on a wild goose chase. I may have stolen his lions. We'll see if he wants to come here. Let's jump on board and see how he's going.
Well, welcome back. It seems like the lions that we were looking for, the lion's tail, are found. Now, we found the most likely reason why they moved. Of course, they were quite hungry when I saw them this morning. But there was a big herd of elephants in that forest, in that area where they went in. So they might have been chased and decided to move just down towards there. So we're going to change our plan. And we're going to head towards the Marsh Breakaway Pride. See if we can find them, see how those cubs are doing. They like to hunt during the day quite often, specifically warthog. So we'll go see if we get some luck in that area. Now, this haze, I've been trying to figure out this. I think there's a really big fire possibly somewhere. And it's the only time I've seen haze like this that just sits for days is after really big fires. I can't smell any fire though, so it could be far away. It could be way down south in Tanzania. It could even be a big papyrus fire from Lake Victoria that's causing this very sort of smoggy, smoggy smog. Don't really know what to call it. But yeah, so I think it's probably a big fire somewhere. Be very interesting. I'll probably try to have a look, because I spoke to some of the rangers and the other guides, and they say they've never seen weather like this in the Mara. So I think it could be a very big fire somewhere far away. And a big thank you for all the welcome back. It's great to be back, and hopefully we can find you some kitty cats this afternoon. Always got a chance at some of the big Chitwa boys down that area. Judy, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but Judy would like to know, is it barbecue season? Well, it's barbecue season for us Africans all year round. We're not stopped by snow and rain. Oh, traffic jams. There you go. So we really don't have a season for barbecues. We barbecue all year round. But fire season for the Mara is probably end of Feb. January and Feb are supposed to be the two driest months. So probably end of Feb will be fire season for actual grass fires. Although there are grass fires in the Mara Serengeti system throughout the year. Well, I think you'd struggle to burn this grass at the moment, it's so green. Okay. Now, it gets quite tough for the lions at this time of the year. Very few zebra around, almost no wildebeest. There's 3 just below our camp that seem to have got left behind and haven't moved. And as I said, there is the loiter herd that's possibly coming in, but that's on the other side of the river. So those lions might be very happy, but the lions in the triangle are going to be struggling for a little while. So Abraham thinks that the weather conditions might be possibly being caused by the tropical storm in Madagascar. I doubt, Abraham. So the wind is coming in from the west, so from the opposite side of the Indian Ocean, and from the south. So I don't think this weather has got anything to do with the tropical storm of Madagascar. And 2 days ago, I just came from the coast, and the weather there was bright and shiny and perfect. So I say, it really much to me looks like there's a very big fire somewhere. And this is just the smoke that's filtered far, far away from it now, and it's just sort of settled. Because as you come down, I mean, it's crystal clear all the way down from Nairobi, and just as you sort of just before you get into the Mara, you see this. So it's only sitting down really around the Mara, and it's not in the rest of Kenya. Okay, well, it looks like Madam McCurdy is repositioned for those kitty cats.
All I can say, Brent, if it's a fire, it's a massive fire, because we experienced this weather all the way down towards the Sand River when we were leaving. It's been like this for the last 4 days, where the clouds, I don't know what's really going on. It's bizarre. But it could be anything. We've still got our lions, but they're so far away. I just wish they would come a little bit closer. And this is not a great area for us. Not only is it, of course, difficult to get to them, but it's also very, very thick, not just with the grass, but you can see some kind of behind them. The vegetation, let me try that again. The vegetation is starting to get a little bit thicker, and that's because we're approaching the marsh. So I always find, just before you get to the marsh, you get all these little thickets that the giraffe and the black rhino are enjoying feeding on at the moment. You often see them sticking their heads down into the grass. Makes it look like they are eating on shrubs. On grass, but they aren't. It's just these little shrubs that are all popping up. We're seeing the ellies putting them out, and some of them have obviously grown to bigger ones, and they form this dense line just before you get into the marshy area. But it's a hot spot for warthogs around here, but I haven't seen anything just yet. Maybe if we go up a little bit further, we'll start to pop. I can't even talk to them. Now, Neem, you said it's quite unusual that the lions don't go for the buffalo at this time of the year with the cooler weather. It's not actually that unusual. And remember, the buffalo here are fierce. I mean, obviously they are a force to be reckoned with. We know this. We've seen this many times. But the buffaloes tend to stay fit and healthy all year long. Unlike in South Africa and the Sabi sand, and we often talk about this, where our winters are exceptionally harsh and all the vegetation disappears from the grass all the way to all the leaves on the trees, or most of the leaves on the trees. So there's very little food. And this weakens the animals and it makes buffalo a much easier target. And it's more appealing to a pride of lions, especially a big pride, because they know they can feed on it for quite some time. But look what happens when you just feed on buffalo in poor condition all the time. Things like white muscle disease start to not only affect all the animals, but also affect the animals that are feeding on them. So it's sometimes a good idea to vary your diet. And warthog, well, it's a very good meal. The buffalo are so tough, though. They're big and strong. I have seen lions feeding on buffalo quite a few times here in the Mara, even hyenas devouring buffalo carcasses. However, it's a bit of a gamble. I've seen more lions being chased around by the buffalo than lions successfully taking down buffalo. I've yet to see lions kill a buffalo in the Mara. I've seen it many times in South Africa, but not up here. I've only come across them feeding on it. And sure, when you have a herd of, 100, 150 buffalo charging after you, you'll be very brave to try and take one of them, because they've obviously shown that they're going to band together, they're going to stick together, and they're going to do whatever they can to chase these creatures around and away. And remember the lionesses, they don't want their cubs to get killed, and unfortunately the Angama pride is notorious for joining in on their hunts. So if they come across a big herd of buffalo, in which we've seen them, their only real chance of getting away is actually dashing through the luggers. And if there aren't any luggers nearby, and there aren't any trees nearby, and we know how big the gaps are between the trees, the open grassland, and a lugger, they could find themselves in a sticky situation, especially those young cubs. Buffalo have no shame in killing lions. They will trample them, they will flick them up into the air with their horns, and that can cause huge damage. So they tend to stick away from them. When there's obviously an easy opportunity, maybe a dugger boy, a lone buffalo bull, or a calf that's fallen behind in the herd, or maybe it's slightly unwell, or if there's a buffalo that's unwell, again, lagging behind the breeding herd, then by all means they might try and take it out. But these cats, they're fairly alert. Obviously we saw them wake up and move to a spot, but it doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily put their heads down and go back to sleep. I think they're looking for an opportunity to do a bit of hunting, but unfortunately there isn't much around at the moment. So we might actually move off and go towards the elephants. Now, James, you're wondering if I know if the white muscle disease has actually happened out here in the Mara. I don't. I wouldn't imagine it's a very common thing, though. We know that white muscle disease is a deficiency in selenium and vitamin E, and probably a couple of other things, and that comes from poor quality grass. You've seen all of this beautiful stuff around us at the moment. The taller it gets, it's not necessarily as palatable. However, at the moment, there's lots of green sprouts coming out of the ground. So the quality of the grass is very, very good here. Look at the elephants. The bulk of their diet is actually made up of grass whenever they can eat it. And again, it's why the impala are bigger, it's why the buffalo are bigger, it's why the warthogs are bigger. The quality of food out here, and there's so much of it as well. There's no shortage of food. So it definitely helps the animals. Maybe in cases of when they do have droughts, kind of like only when it happens in the greater Kruger area, then something like that can come about. But I don't think it's particularly common. I don't think it's a very, very common thing. I mean, it was the first time that I'd ever heard of anything like that. And I think for James, maybe, I can't actually speak for anybody else, but it's definitely a fairly new thing. None of us had any idea as to what it could be. You know what? They're so far away. I think we might do a bumble through the elephants in the marsh and then come around and see if I can't find one of those grassy tracks. I'm pretty sure there is a grassy track that weaves a little bit closer towards them, but I might have to go the scenic way around to jump on it. Not all the roads are connected, so that's what we will do. We will go on a little bit of a drive. Whee! Ooh, Tom, you're wondering, so I'm just trying to turn on this very narrow road, which is going to take me a few attempts. You're wondering, what is the question now? Sorry, it slipped my mind. How many lions does it take to be a super pride? I would say, you see, the thing is that anything over 20 lions is pretty epic. It's a big pride of lions. Most of the time they'll end up being cubs though. And then the chances of those cubs actually making it to adulthood, we know unfortunately only 1 in every 4 lion cub will actually make it to adulthood. So it's a very tough, very hard life for them. So I reckon if you have more than if you have like 7 to 10 females in the pride, that's exceptional. Because if each of those lionesses, say if there's 10 lionesses, if each of those lionesses have 4 cubs, you're going to have 40 cubs. Amazing. Then plus the coalition of males that looks there. So it all has to do with not necessarily how many cubs there are, but how many adult lionesses are in the pride. So I would say that anywhere between 7 and 10 lionesses, and with all their offspring running around, could quite easily create a super pride. But I mean, there were prides of lions down in the, southeastern parts of Kruger that 35 lions strong, which is impressive. So even that is considered a super pride. Right, it seems as though bumbling is the theme today. Brent's on a patrol. I wonder if he's going to find the marsh pride or the marsh breakaways, or maybe even a black rhino.
Well, I'd hope for either of those. That would be good, great fun. And I know you were chatting with Taylor about super prides. The largest pride of lions I've ever seen was 52 lions, cubs and all. And that was actually in the Mara in 1995. And it was, I'm trying to remember exactly where it was. It was somewhere around this area, around Chitwa, because we're staying at Chitwa. And the biggest pride I have seen in South Africa was the mountain pride, which Nat Geo did a special on called the Mega Pride, and that was in the Kruger. And before they split, there were 40 odd lions in that pride. That area where in South Africa on the basalt plains around Satara in the Kruger National Park is famous for very big prides of lions. But yes, so it's very interesting. Now, as I said, I am hoping to possibly find the marsh breakaways. They do like this area. Dave wants to know how many prides of lions do we have in the Mara. Okay, here we go. This is, we'll do the Mara Triangle, and these are only the ones we know 100% well, and then I'll mention the sort of fringe activities a little later. So, marsh breakaways, Angamas, small sausages, Mara River Pride. So, oh, I just better concentrate on not having a car accident. So, start that again. Marsh breakaways, Angamas, Mara River Pride. I can't think today. Okay, Angamas, marsh breakaways, Mara River Pride, small sausages, Mogoro, big sausages, Ngarare Pride, big border pride. Okay, let's just move that way. Big border pride, Salt Lake Pride, and then Happy Valley Pride. That's what we call them. And there's another pride there that I don't know the name of. That's 11. Coming back this way. Then there's Serena, A and B. And then we have Paradise. 14, 15 prides. I might have missed one there. Just trying to remember. Oh, yes. Egyptian Goose. And there's another pride beyond Egyptian Goose in those Mlimanane and the 8 Hills as well. So that's 16 definite prides, and there's probably 1 or 2 more that I've forgotten. On the other side of the river, okay, here we go again. We've got the remnants of the Marsh Pride, which is a female and her 2 youngsters. We've got the Ridge Breakaway Pride. We've got the Ridge Pride. We've got Pride, I don't know their name, that live in the Talek Valley. We've got 2 prides in the Talek. And then keep going down. Let's just keep on the river. And then you've got the Olorongais. And after the Rongais, you have 2 different lookout prides. They're separate prides, but sometimes they come together. There we go. We're already on 10 there. And then... What? No, Craig, that's not a pride, that's a male coalition. Sorry, Craig's saying Billishuckers in my ear, but that's obviously a male. I hope you haven't thrown my train of thought yet, Batman. Okay, we're going up now. There's the Bridge Pride, Burungat Pride, and then Silas Pride. There's 2 prides there. Breakaway, Blackrock Pride. So what are we now? We're on 15. Blackrock Pride. Then we got Sand River Gate Pride, and another pride I don't know their name, which is above the Sand River Gate near the Sand River Waterfall. Then we've got the Super Pride, 17, 18, and then oh goodness, that's another 5. Kissinger's Pride, 90. More than 50 prides, I would say, comfortably in the Mara. Someone behind us? No, we're good. Okay. So here we go. More than 50. I mean, those are only the ones I can name off the top of my head, and I've probably forgotten a bunch. Good try, Craig. Billishaka boys, though. That's a male coalition. Male coalitions in the triangle. We've got, of course, the Chitwa Timber boys, and they are over the breakaways, marsh breakaways, Angama's small sausages. I'm not sure if they're over the Mara River Pride as well. Then we've got my favorite 2 in the triangle. They don't really have a name, but they're big sausages down towards the border with the Ngarare Pride. Then we've got those 4 beautiful boys at the Salt Lake. They're quite young still. 5. And then there's massive boys down near Purungat Bridge. 6. Probably looking at about 8. But for the 15, 16 prides, or 17 prides in the triangle, you're probably looking at about 8 or 9 male lion coalitions that dominate over that area. Now, I feel like I've been talking about lions so much, we've got to see one. While I keep on my search for anything, really, it's been pretty quiet on the side. It seems like Taylor's having a bit more luck, because she's with her 2nd member of the Big 5 for this afternoon.
We are, and I feel like if you're wanting to see elephants anywhere in the triangle, you just go to a spot where there is marshland. And that's exactly where we are. It's one of my favorite places. Actually, I think all the presenters absolutely love this area. It is filled with life. Look at that tiny little one, and speaking of life, there's new life. Now, it was quite funny, as we arrived to the scene, this tiny little elephant that you can see now that's smelling us, which is very sweet, it was fast asleep on a termite mound. And you can see the eyes are still very heavy. Go back to bed. And there was one young female, I would imagine the older daughter, so probably big sister of this youngster, and it was basically just watching over it, and it was fast asleep, and then it got a little bit of a fright. It heard the engine, but it's not now. Everyone's completely relaxed. Sometimes that happens, and it's okay, I suppose, as long as they relax afterwards. That's okay. It's different if you go driving straight up towards a pride of lions and they get up and jump away. Don't do something like that, but you can move around. Let's see what this little Ellie does. We'll try not to move. We'll sit here quietly because it's slowly coming towards us. And it is a little thing. No wonder it needs to sleep quite a bit. Get tired on those legs. Okay. Trying to eat? Not very easy, is it? Quite tough trying to use that trunk at your age. No, I'm not surprised that there are many oohs and ahs. Oh, so cute, so lovely. Oh, everybody, this is a very, very angry little elephant, as you can see. You are very big and brave and scary, little elephant. Coming straight towards the car. Now, I was just saying how I don't have much interaction with little elephants and the vehicles. You, my friend, are going to prove all the other elephants wrong. So thank you very much. Oh no, I'm scared I'm going to start laughing at you. I will start laughing at you, little elephants. See, big sister's now coming in to say, settle down. Yes, young lady. Now, she's the kind of elephant that's probably anywhere between 12 and 15 years old, I'd estimate. Or maybe a little bit younger than, maybe around 12 years old. And she'll be very protective of her younger sibling. And this is also the age where I say that they cause the most trouble around the vehicles. A common question that is asked by all of you who are watching, and then also guests that come on safari, is what elephants do you find the most difficult to sort of deal with? And I often say teenaged female elephants. And they throw tantrums next to the car. And you can clearly see how protective she is. Here she's now stood between us and that little elephant. This little elephant is now going, I will go underneath you, big sister, to get to that vehicle, because I'm going to intimidate it this afternoon. I'm going to chase it away. But of course, it's not very scary. No, you can't suckle there. You have to go to mom to do that. But it's just amazing to see the relationship between the various elephants and how she will do anything that she can to protect that little one. Pretty amazing to experience it firsthand. I'm so sorry, Megan. I accidentally turned the volume down. I thought I was turning it up. I made a mistake and I turned it the wrong way around, so I missed the whole question. Oh, it's so precious. Now, Tom, you're wondering why are some elephants wrinklier than others? Is it for a specific reason, or is it random? I think the amount of wrinkles on an elephant would again be passed down from generation to generation. So it just depends on the genetics, I suppose. However, wrinkles do serve a very important purpose. They create extra surface area, and it actually essentially is a cooling mechanism. So in between those folds of skin, they're actually trying to cool themselves down. So lots of wrinkles might actually help them. However, a little elephant is normally a bit wrinklier than an older one. They've got to grow into all that skin. And now she's decided, no, we're too big and scary. You can hear them munching as well. I love that sound. Whether it's horses eating in the paddocks outside or zebras outside your tent, I really enjoy the sound of animals tearing vegetation, whether it be grass or leaves, and then feeding on it. You are all very relaxed. You're a lovely herd of elephants, so thank you very much for being so nice and calm. I always talk to the elephants. I don't care what anybody tries to tell me, and most guides talk to them. You really can calm them down. Not that they need any calming down at the moment, but I just find it very good to pay them a little bit of attention. They pick up on your vibes. They're so intelligent. And you can see that little one's trying to copy the older sister now. It's just kind of getting in the way. Francis, you're wondering who's faster on foot, a human or an elephant? Most certainly an elephant. An elephant can run at 40 kilometers an hour quite easily at full speed. However, I think if I could run at 25 kilometers an hour at a sprint, that would be quite quick. I don't actually know what the average sprinting speed of a person is. I'm not talking about Usain Bolt, because obviously, or any other very athletic people, obviously they're going to be much quicker. Maybe someone can help me out and you can find that out for me. Hashtag Safari Life. What is the average human running speed and then average human sprinting speed? So we're looking for how fast people run, because we know that elephants can run at 40 kilometers an hour or so. The charging speed's pretty good. What have you found there? Something must be very tasty on the ground. Oh, we've turned again. The wind is blowing straight towards that little elephant, so I think it is quite curious about all the different smells that are coming off of the car. No, they seem to be feeding on grass at the moment. She looks like she's looking for something else, though. Hello, big girl. I'm just watching the mother of this calf. She's feeding towards us, but I'm not worried at all. The only thing, though, that we must be careful about is obviously we're in the marsh, and this area is very sludgy at the moment. So you want to make sure that you've got space in case something does go wrong. The chances of something going wrong if you're reading an animal's behavior quickly and carefully is very, very slim. But you don't want to take that chance out here. And I always say this to people, is when something does go wrong with animals, it normally happens quicker than you can even think of how you're going to get yourself out of that situation. So it's always good to just be prepared. But the elephants have given us no sign this afternoon that they're unhappy with us. All of them seem to be quite relaxed. And then, if you look just to the left, there's a whole herd you'll see. I know that one's diving down in the grass, but there's 2 little elephants that are playing and pushing around. So we'll have a very quick look at them. Very fast. Those are very sweet little ellies. Oh, wow. Ghost Rider, you've said that humans can run at about 45 kilometers an hour. That is exceptional. That's really quick. I don't know how long we'd be able to keep that up for. I didn't think we'd be able to run that quickly, but all I can say to you is that an elephant can outrun a human any day of the week. That is for sure. Good luck if you're wanting to take the risk. Oh, okay, so that was sorry, Ghost Rider, that was the fastest. I was going to say, that's very, very quick. About 45 kilometers an hour. That would be what the sprinters would be running at. So we're just going to quickly convert what, well, it doesn't matter, actually. Average person runs at about 16 miles per an hour. About 25 kilometers. Okay, so what I did once, and the reason how I know that I've reached 25 kilometers an hour once, is at this estate, we were at a golfing estate. They basically had the speed, like a speedometer up, but you could run around, or you could drive in a car, it would tell you how fast you were going, you could see. And of course, I couldn't help, and I was sprinting up and down, trying to break my record. I've got too much energy all the time. So you can see there's lots of different families of elephants. I really love this relationship that this young Ellie calf has with her older sister. It's truly spectacular. Look how she's taking the time. She's so patient and showing this little one what to do. Like, you'll see her use her trunk, and if the little one wanders off as if it's got Taylor syndrome, it gets distracted, she brings it back and she says, look, watch what I'm doing. So now she's kneeling and she's digging her tusks in the soil. She's loosening it up. See that? So she's almost plowing into the ground. So now you can see how tusks are used differently from traditional teeth. Loosening that up. Let's see if she's going to either throw the soil over herself, or if she's trying to do it for that little one, so that it's easier to pull the grass up. See, it keeps running in there and grabbing little bits and then popping it in its mouth. Not doing a very good job, though. It's eating more soil than anything. And often we do see animals feeding or eating soil. It's called geophagy. However, I don't think that's intentional. I think that's just, I got something with my trunk. What an achievement. I'm going to now put it in my mouth, whether it tastes nice or not. And then look, the little one's running over to another young elephant that's just joining. Let's see how their greeting is going to go, if they're going to have one, or if it's going to just go straight back to mom. Who wants to say hello? There we go, say hello. Oh, isn't that sweet? Another elephant coming over. There we go, all saying hello. Oh, look how precious this is. So here we have a greeting ceremony with young elephants. So, like we always talk about here, we don't think it's one big herd that's moving around in the marsh. There's definitely a whole bunch of different family groups that are all quite happy to feed with one another. The elephants aren't necessarily aggressive towards one another, especially when there's an abundance of food around. There's no need for conflict, and I think they realize this. And that little one is just so desperate to join in. You're too small, I'm afraid. Now we've got older sister on the left meeting another elephant, and I think, let's see, a little bit more of a push and shove there. So this cow is looks like she's either got a calf. There's a whole lot of elephants coming around, or she's either going to give birth. I can't quite see, but she has got swollen mammary glands. I don't think that other elephant that joined in first would be suckling anymore. So I think she's either getting ready to give birth, and she does have quite a big bulge on her side, doesn't she? Well, elephants are rather heavy set, as most of you know. All very relaxed. What a beautiful day. I'm so happy that we decided to come to the marsh. I thought, maybe it's not going to be too nice because it will be quite windy out here, but we're quite lucky. We're actually sitting quite low. I didn't realize how the marsh kind of seeps in and drops a bit lower than everywhere else. So it's not very windy here. Elephants don't enjoy the wind either. And we've got another little elephant just over here. Also will eventually come round and say hello, I would imagine. I don't think it wants to miss out on the fun that the others are having. You've just got your piece of grass at the moment. You're going to wear it as a hat. It's amazing how they also try and show off. It's like it's trying to get the other elephants' attentions and say, hey, look here, look at me, look what I can do. You know, kind of like kids constantly going, Mom, Dad, look, watch me do a somersault. Watch me jump into the swimming pool. Watch me ride a skateboard. You know, they're constantly demanding attention. And as you sit with elephants, you notice that the youngsters do exactly the same thing. Just approaching very slowly. And there we go, little one, of course, coming over. Oh, straight into a little tussle. Yes, the size is not quite there. That little one really does just want to play. They all just want to play this afternoon. There we go, bash it back. But be careful because they're bigger than you, and when they do turn back and push you, you're going to fall over. I'm sad though all the elephants have drawn the attention away from us, because I was enjoying watching that little one become quite curious with us. Careful, that's not very nice to treat a friend. You can't, someone just walks into your home, can't just start pushing them around. Give them a high five or a hug first, offer them a cup of tea or coffee, and you know, then the fun and games can begin. They're all greeting this particular herd. Oh, that is so precious. And you can see why you can sit and watch elephants for such a long time. I'm wondering if this isn't the same group though. They're all very relaxed. It's all like they know one another. So I think this might be the same herd. Pauline, you've said that you agree, and it is just amazing to watch. It's truly an overwhelming experience, and you know, it's one thing you all watching at home, but I promise you right now, coming on a safari and sitting with a herd of elephants will be one of the best things you have ever experienced in your entire life. That's all I can say about that, unless you are very unlucky and you don't have a good experience with elephants, which are so few and far between. Again, as long as you're watching their behavior and reading the signs correctly, you'll be all good. But I could also imagine though, and I have had a lot of guests who have been absolutely traumatized, like petrified of these beautiful creatures, and they do need that respect. That's what everybody forgets, that we become very complacent around the animals, and we tell you this, and how sometimes we need constant reminding. Hey, hello, these are wild animals and anything could go wrong at any time. But having a terrible elephant experience and then having them approach the vehicle is not a nice thing, and I can imagine it take quite some time to overcome an experience like that. So it's never good to push somebody who is petrified of elephants to allow them to come around the vehicle, because the elephants they'll pick up off of that energy. I strongly believe that these animals can feel your vibe, and if you're nervous, if you're happy, and they can feed off of that energy. They're just super intelligent. Oh, I think we've picked the perfect spot this afternoon to sit. They're all coming around us, they're all playing around. It's pretty spectacular that I'm able to do this every single day. I know I say that every single day, but I just like to remind myself how lucky I really am, and how many people out in the world would love to do what we're able to do. Ooh, but it's starting to get cold now. It's starting very, very chilly all of a sudden. Can you hear that? Hear that? That's me making that noise. But they were all talking to one another. one elephant did it, and then they all sort of sang that beautiful song. It's very, very windy, so it might have been difficult for you to hear. That's why I just thought I'd try and imitate it. But now they've all settled down. I think they're going to get on the move now. I think that was an instruction to keep marching on east. Right. So while we figure out which direction the elephants are going to go in next, Brent is still searching for the lions. Will he be able to find them?
No such luck yet. We're down quite close to the Chitwa Timber Crossing, a favourite hangout of those big male lions. It is very, very quiet. The odd zebra about, and I say the odd, not many at all. Some topies, some tommies, but all quite far and in the distance. Safari Heart says, I'm visiting the Masai Mara in August. Would it be possible to visit the Safari Live gang and bring them some treats? Well, we always like treats. But yes, it is possible. And I have to ask Megan to remind me which email address and how about you go about that, because I'm not quite sure. Not my department, you know. But I will find out for you. Or I think you just send us a Facebook message, actually. I think it's send us a Facebook message on our Facebook page. Just send a message there, and one of our lovely ladies will get back to you. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to find out whether I've been talking complete and utter twaddle, or I was telling the truth. Oh no, let's go down to the river. Now, I found those big boys lying in these little croton thickets here a couple of times. It'd be very, very nice to find them. Let's find some hungry lions on the prowl. Oh, or even a leopard would be very nice in this area. What have we got through there? No. It's a patch of dried leaves that look like a lion. Still, this weather is still absolutely confounding me. Now, I think what I will do is when I get home and I can get on a computer, I'll have a look to see if I can find some live data, see if there are any big fires around. Now, the weather from the tropical cyclone is further to the south of us, coming in off Dar es Salaam, which is quite a long way away. So it's definitely not from the tropical cyclone. It's just very, very strange is all. Now, talking of something very, very strange, let's go back to the strangest creature in the Masai Mara, the hurdy-burdy stuck in the mud, McCurdy.
I'm trying to calm this elephant down. Shh, elephant. Shh, relax. I'm just joking. So we're basically experiencing exactly what I said to you about a teenage elephant, the one who is very protective over... Come now, it's okay. What's wrong? Tell me your problems. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want a chair to sit in? Would you like a nice cold glass of water? I don't know what this elephant wants, but I just wish she would relax with us. Now, it's important in a case like this to be calm, to send out positive vibes. She will relax. She's just trying to get a reaction out of us. I don't know what her problem is, but I always say that teenage elephants, they do this all the time, and I can't tell you how many sightings I've had live where we've experienced something like this. Now, there's no need to get aggressive. All she is doing is trying to intimidate us, and we don't want her to eventually learn that if she acts big and brave in front of the cars, that she will scare us, because that's how you get elephants that will start chasing vehicles. So you kind of have to ignore it. I mean, if I started my car right now, I promise you she would run away. She'd be petrified. But she's eating, so she's just putting on a little bit of a show for all of you, so enjoy. Yes? Relax. Now, if this was a big elephant bull and must, I would not be doing this. I would have moved well out of his way. It's okay. Yes, big girl. What's wrong? Who don't you like in the car? Is it me? Is it Adrian? Is it Sammy? Who has offended you? Cherry, you say it just looks like she wants to play. Not quite playing. She's trying to dominate herself over us, but we won't let that happen. And again, like, there's no need to move away. She'll eventually get bored, and she'll go off, and she'll realize that, well, that didn't work as well as she'd hoped. Exactly like what's happening now. She might turn around and come back again, but we don't need to panic. Again, like I said, if it was a big elephant bull, I would have moved very quickly. I would have moved before he could have come anywhere near my vehicle. I don't like to play around with musk bulls, just because some days they're fine and very relaxed and act like a bull that's not in must, and then they just turn. Now, what I will try and do, it's a bit difficult for us to show you now. It'll take some reversing. I just want this girl to settle down first before we make any moves. As we've seen a cow that has actually got some skin that's been removed, and it looks like she's been chased around by a must bull, so we'll try and find her again. So every now and then I am getting these scents of that drain water smell. Adrian, just before they disappear, look what's just come up to the left of us. There's some southern ground hornbills that have joined the party in the marsh. So I also don't want to get trapped amongst elephants and then there's a big musk bull around. That'll be disastrous. But here we have the southern ground hornbill. Looks like one adult, and the sub-adult is at the back, just feeding. I'm almost certain it's the same group that we're seeing. There should be 3 or 4 of them, 3 or 4 adults, and then, or 3 adults, sorry, and then this youngster. I am just seeing the 2 adults at the moment. But this is so close to the hammerkop nest. Remember, we had them playing around in there, digging about. Oh, they're looking for beetles and all sorts of other things. Oh, here comes a little elephant that's about to charge that one. Now, I've been wanting to see an elephant chase a cattle egret. Perhaps it'll be a southern ground hornbill instead. Run, little one. And it's a little southern ground hornbill too. Not having any of it today. Go on, little elephant, and stay out. And off the southern ground hornbills, except one. There's still one. That one feels very chuffed with itself, don't you think? You see, there's the one hornbill at the back going, ah, ha, 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 ha. Sorry, southern ground hornbill. Wait till that other little elephant turns around and realizes that you're there. You're most certainly going to get chased. No, opting to fly is probably the best choice. Here we go. Look how excited it got again. Off it goes. What a fantastic time spent with the elephants. It's been very, very long since I've had a wonderful sighting like this. And it was one of my favorite things to do. I could just spend hours and hours with the elephants in the Sabi sand. And I do just have to say thank you to all these wonderful creatures for just affording us with the most amazing sightings. Now, our little elephant is just off to the right, and there's some cattle egrets around. At the moment, it's not chasing the cattle egrets. Oh, the elephants are making noises again. I'm just watching what's going on. I don't want to move. There's just some cows behind us that are, unfortunately I can't show you, but I am just watching what's going on, because if they change direction, they start stampeding, we have to get out of the way. So when elephants make unhappy noises like that, like trumpeting, which is typically not a good sound, it's always good to see what stirred them, and I can't see what stirred them right now. I don't know if there's a musk bull, not really sure. But these guys seem completely unfazed about what's going on. They're not worried. The little one's just trying to get a hang of its trunk. He's struggling there. Was scratching up against Mom. I thought it was going to show some interest in the cattle egrets, but that's not the case. Now, I don't know what this elephant is doing. Sorry, Adrian, I'm pointing to all sorts of other places. Our friend that chased the hornbills around is now flipping its trunk out away from it. At what, I don't know. You'll see it will do it again now. What have you seen? Maybe there's ants on the ground. Scarlet, sorry, there were actually a couple of questions from you, and I'll get to them now. So the first one is, I'll answer this one. How far can these elephants travel? Huge distances. Elephants are built for a journey, and whenever they need to get more food, or they need to find water sources, they will of course have to travel further and further away. But we'll discuss that in a minute, because we're most certainly not going anywhere. Brent, however, has got some crowned crane chicks.
Look at this! Oh my goodness! 3 little baby crowned cranes with mom and dad moving them from one wetland to the other. So obviously mom and dad, maybe there were monitor lizards around, which is one of the biggest threats to them. Oh, oh, oh. What you got there? Stomped some poor creature to death. Stomping again. Isn't that magic? Absolutely magic. Tiny little crown cranes. You can see how the adults almost stomp stuff for the babies to eat. Now I think they're heading towards another sort of marshy area where the chicks will be able to be kept safe. So it's very unusual. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen them moving babies this young. So there must be something that has made the adults feel like their last nest site wasn't safe. Oh, look at that. Catching and then feeding. This is incredible. And this is so special. This is the amazing thing about being out here 100% live. You literally have no idea what you could find. I mean, I've been looking for big cats and I've found tiny birds. Now see how they sort of walk with a stamp, and that's to try spook things out of the grass. You can see I don't want to get too close. I think they are very relaxed at the moment, but always a little bit more nervous, especially moving the chicks like this. My goodness, that is gorgeous. I'm just going to move the car a little bit to the right here, Craig, and I can show you the wetland that they're heading towards. And it's quite a good wetland because there's a hippo in it, which could make it a little bit safer. Okay, let's just get... And we can see the hippo as well. There we go. Now, James is wondering how long till the chicks start getting their adult feathers. Oh, probably not too long till they start showing some of the signs, but I mean, these things are tiny. I don't even know how old they are. I mean, they are minute. I've never seen crown crane chicks that young. This is an absolute first for me, especially walking around. Now, behind them there is a nice wetland that's got a hippo in it. That hippo might add a little bit of protection. That's just too special for words. You see how... Look at them fighting! Oh, what are they fighting over? Okay, this is very unusual. So their nests are normally in the middle of a wetland. Very seldom will they nest in a tree, taking over sometimes secretary nests or wattled crane nests in the area where they are. Janet says this is the first time she's seen crown crane chicks. And Stephanie, my first time in the Mara. Oh, there we go. Apparently Taylor saw a few 2 days ago. That's so special. So the fledgling period for them is between 56 and 100 days. So it all depends on external threats. And the adults have quite a few different ways of sort of protecting them. The young will normally just crouch down and try to disappear wherever they are. The adults will mob certain species like jackals and monitor lizards and serval and things like that. However, they will also try and sort of play the distraction game by honking and making lots of noise and running around in front of the predators trying to lead them away. Oh, hey, Bo. This is magic. Stomp, 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 stomp. There we go. Caught it and gave it to the baby. Donna would like to know, will they gather the chicks under their wings to sleep? Possibly, but probably not. I think the babies will just sleep together. What often happens is the adults will roost a little bit away from the nest, as if they were at the nest, it would attract attention. Oh, goodness. Little things. It's hard to believe it's going to grow into such a massive bird one day. They're heading off towards the hippo. Good neighbor to have. Doesn't like kitty cats around it. Okay, they're going to disappear into some longer grass now. I think that the grass will be too long for us to see the little ones. So we're going to move on. Keep in our search for the fabled lions of the Masai Mara that are just avoiding us this afternoon. But while we do that, it seems like Taylor has found a good spot to view those great grey pachyderms.
That was great illustration there, Brenty. Now, what we've got in front of us is a scene, and the elephant on the left-hand side. Every now and then I kept telling you I thought I could smell a very musky smell. I think this bull is in must. I'm just waiting to confirm if that's the case. But it's just he's come into the picture, and then all of a sudden I can smell this, but I don't know which direction it's coming from because the wind is swirling quite a bit in the marsh. So, we have him in front on the road, so we can't go there, and also I can't turn around at the moment because the road that runs through the marsh is pretty much just a rat that you drive through that's filled with water. And it's very sludgy and it's very hard to get out of those rats. So, I might have to reverse out of the sighting, but he doesn't seem to be showing us any interest. But again, like I said, when you're in a situation where it's a bit boggy, or if you're in a riverbed and you're in sand, you need to be a little bit more cautious than just driving on a normal road. because you can run into many more obstacles, and that won't allow you to be able to get out as quick as you'd like. You may have seen some birds walking just behind those elephants. You will see a variety of birds popping into frame every now and then. There'll be cattle egrets, the white ones, and then the bigger ones. There are lots of spur-winged geese around at the moment, and some hardy ibis and the odd woolly-necked stork. So abundance of life out here in the marsh. But we'll see if he's in mass. Let me check. Sunny, you're wondering why doesn't a male elephant ever become a patriarch of a group? That's just not how their life works, essentially. So the girls live together and they have breeding herds and they have a matriarchal structure within, and the boys go off and they do their own thing. So the only time the males want to come in and have anything to do with the females is when they're coming into must, when they're ready to mate. Unless you're a young bull, then you try your luck all the time. How are the elephants behind me, Adrian? Are there any on the road? Not that I'm... how far is far away? 50 meters. See, I'm kind of stuck in this. I can't show you anything more. I don't want to go there to that elephant. I just want to get out of, not get out of here, but I actually want to turn around and face the other way, because at the moment there's very little we can kind of see. And like I said, I don't want to go past there and stir that elephant bull unnecessarily. They move so quickly. I just want to confirm if he is in must or not. He's just walking with a particular swagger. And when I was picking up on those scents, the cows were kind of reacting when I was smelling, and then that's when they were making those soft rumblings, and some of them were trumpeting. So I don't know if it's all related, if they were also picking up on the scents and just warning one another. Come on, boy, take like 2 more steps so we can see between your back legs if there's any staining or if there's any dribbling. I don't see anything too obvious. Nothing just yet, so maybe he's going to be alright. Maybe he'll be fine. Okay, let's go have a look. Let's see. If he's not in must, he should be okay with us. Oh, a little bit of a head shake, but I don't think that was towards anything. I think that might have been to flies. Off we go. Just keeping an eye out, making sure all the elephants are behaving. See, I'm not sure because he's been in the marsh, of course his feet are wet. I'm just going to keep going. You I don't care about. You can just behave. I'm talking to the young male that I'm not particularly worried about, that always give you trouble, but he's actually fine. Oh no. Please, can we not be charged by elephants today? You are another troublemaker, the young bull that ran off the termite mound towards us. I think we found the bachelors. This is obviously a hot spot. I'm going to watch everyone here quickly. Lots of young boys. Hello, cattle egrets. Nice to see you guys. And the Egyptian geese and some spur-winged geese. We'll have a look at all of them in a minute. I just want to drive up here. Hello. It's nice to see you too. Thank you for your hospitality. He's not shaking his head at me. I'm being very sarcastic, obviously, as I say that. Right. We're in the thick of it again. Amongst the animals with feathers and thick skin. Who are we going to look at first? Let me decide. Let's look at this, because this looks like a cheeky one. Are you scared? Are you going to run away? Also, my mic pack is falling out, so I need to try and put it in a spot where I'm not going to lose it again. Oh, everything is falling apart. I'm tangled. Sorry, everybody. I'm just having a malfunction here, quickly, just on my own, while you can't see. Why? There's nothing working. None of the cables are going where they're supposed to go. It's kind of like having a bad hair day. But there we go. Now I'm better. Now I'm all sorted. I can concentrate and start working again. There seems to be much excitement amongst the herds this afternoon. Everybody's very happy. Everybody's very playful. What a lovely day. It's a pity we don't have some sun, otherwise I think we would have had some sunbathing elephants. Oh, do you know what I forgot to tell you? You won't believe it. As I look for my lip ice, looking at these elephants' skin makes my lips feel dry. They always look like they need some serious moisturizing cream. So our little elephant, not the little one that was so precious, but the older girl that was standing next to the car and trying to intimidate us, was quite funny to watch, in fact. She came right up to the vehicle. She then threw mud at me, which was quite cool. She kind of just had some mud in her trunk, and then she flipped her trunk towards me, obviously to try and scare me. And then the mud just came flinging off and covered me. That was amazing. She then picked up a piece of grass and threw it at us as well. I actually got a video of it, which I'll show you at some point too. So that was quite funny. So it's all happening out here today. Now there's a little elephant just to the left of the ones we're looking at that's approaching another sibling. They might have a push and shove around, which is always quite funny to watch, except the older one on the right has got a bit of an advantage standing up on that mound. That's not fair. There needs to be rules for these battles. Although the little one's not doing a bad job. Either that, or I don't really know what. Oh, it's always amazing. I miss it when they stand on their back legs and push each other to the ground and properly wrestle. And then of course the cattle egrets will all swarm into there. Hang on, there's a little elephant just even further to the left of the next group that was chasing the cattle egrets, in fact. Those two over there. The one just swung its trunk as well out at a little at a cattle egret. Let's see if they do it again. They look like those two look like they're up to no good. Stephen, you said you really like the cattle egrets. Me too, and it's a pity we don't see too many of them down in the Sabi sand. But of course we've got no shortage of them up here. They're all around, following the elephants, following the buffalo, following lots of different creatures. And it's very pretty to see them roosting as well. And they look beautiful and white up in the trees. Let's see. You done playing with the birds now? Are you all a little bit on the bored side? What pity. We were loving that. It was definitely enjoyable. But now they seem to be calmed down. But perhaps once they climb up on this termite mound, we might be able to see something. And I'm sure they have their favorites as well. I'm sure they have their favorite cousin, their favorite sibling, that you'll see that they spend more time with. Pushing and shoving one another, constantly touching one another. That tactile communication is so important with animals that live in herds, and especially with the elephants. We see it with lions as well, leopards, well, a mother and youngster. No, they're just happily feeding. Not eating too much. I mean, they're going at snail's pace, but they definitely have a better grip on their trunk than the little elephants, which is very sweet. I'm just trying to think what we're going to do. I think we might move on from here. I think we might go and do a loop around and see if we can maybe find those lions. But my only problem is that I can't go back the way that I've just come, which would be the quickest way, because I can't get out of here. So I have to follow this road to wherever it takes me, and then jump on another road that will go back around again. Yes, come on. Hi, birds. Lots of birds. Lots of herons and lapwings. I don't even need to steer. I don't know why I'm doing this. I forgot that it's so great when you are in these situations, and I need to put my jacket on now, so now's a better chance than ever. We don't need hands here. Let's just go. I could have a drink of water. No. Too late. Adrian's laughing at me. I wasted my opportunity there of putting my jacket on, having a drink of water and all those wonderful things. Somebody else that's feeling the nip in the air today, especially after coming from the warm, humid weather of Watamu, is Brent. Have you asked him about his holiday?
Well, yes, it was warm and lovely at the coast. Actually very warm on some occasions, but it was definitely a nice little break. And then also Savo was very warm, so much lower than the Mara, much more dry. There's a zebra. But now, so I've checked a lot of the normal spots for the marsh breakaways, and I have left this area till last. And they are quite often around here as well. So we're going to go have a squiz, head along here, and then get onto the lugger where they like to keep the cubs. Maybe we'll have some luck. Oh, Debbie's wondering where all the secretary birds gone. That's a good question, Debbie. I actually haven't seen a secretary bird since I've been back. Well, this is only my second drive back, so I'm sure they're around somewhere. Hopefully we'll find one this afternoon. Now, there's quite a lot of zebra down here, so that means there's quite a bit of prey for the breakaways. There's also lots of warthogs. Well, we'll find out shortly whether they're around the lugger. Now, I know Taylor mentioned a little bit earlier, we're both quite excited that we've got a new repeater up down on the southern end of the Olololo escarpment, which opens up a whole new area to us, which could be very, very exciting. It's the area where both of Kakanya's daughters, who have cubs, are spending time there along the Tanzanian border, as well as some very big prides of lions, 25 strong or so, and also the border boys, the two male cheetah, as well as that very big male leopard we've seen on occasion around Mlimbili. He likes to dive down into that area where we don't presently have good, or we do hopefully now in the next week or so have very good signal and very good communication. So it's going to be quite fun. I think Taylor and I are going to take turns exploring in that area over the next little while. So here we go. I said there's plenty of food about. We've got hartebeest, topi, and zebra. Sorry, Megs, can you go again with that? I just didn't hear it. Here we go. Lots of zebra around. And some, here we go. Lots of zebra on the edge of the bush there. Now, Francis is wondering, could animals sense an earthquake if there was one around? Yes, it's well documented that animals can sense seismic activity before it really takes place in the area, and tend to move. Same with tsunamis. Animals seem to know that the tsunamis are coming far before people do. Lots of zebras. Now, where are the lions? Let's keep going. So this area is quite a popular hangout of the breakaway pride, marsh breakaways. And there's some trees up there. That's where they like to leave the cubs quite often. Some cokes, hartebeest as well. Amazing how quickly the little ones have grown up, as you can see. A little bit to the right, I think. There was a baby not so long ago now, look at it. There's two of them there that were babies. They've got big very quickly. Also a lone impala amongst the cokes. And a topi. Ooh, can you hear some elephants talking not too far away as well? Okay. Now, where are the lions now? There's lots of food here. Now we just need to find hungry lions. Judy's wondering, do the sub-adults ever initiate a hunt with lions? They might, Judy, it is possible, but normally if they are initiating it, they make an absolute hash of it and mess it up. And they'll generally get spotted. So, yes, sometimes they might initiate the hunt, but often it's not a very successful hunt if they do. Okay. What have we there? No, not a lion. They do spend a lot of time around this area here, on the edge of the lugger. Lots of zebra. There's also a herd of buffalo in the distance. Debbie says it's very interesting that the grass is waist high, actually almost chest high in some places, and in other places it's quite shorter, quite a lot shorter. Is it the rain or the type of grass? It's actually the feeding. Oh, sorry, bumpy to bump. The feeding pressure on it. So that area where we were around Chitwa Tembo is grazed very heavily all year round, and that's why it stays short all year round. The areas up towards the escarpment, and actually almost the area we're heading into now, the grass is going to start getting quite a lot taller, and it only really gets short when the wildebeest are here, and then once the wildebeest are gone, it grows back very quickly. So it's more feeding pressure rather than grass species or rain. Okay. No signs of our lions just yet. Well, we keep checking the edge of this lugger for lions. Let's go see what Madam McCurdy's plans are for the rest of the evening.
Well, I haven't quite decided, hey Brent. I can see where the lions are. There's lots of cars. So I'm deciding if I'm going to go back to them or not, if that sighting improves. It's just, I don't know if we're even going to get a spot to view them. So we've taken the scenic way around. Well, we had to do the scenic way around anyway because I couldn't turn around. But I'm wondering if I won't bumble down this. Yeah, let's do that. We'll come back there in a little bit. We'll go down here. Everybody seems to be racing down this side, so I don't know if there's more than one sighting. I don't know if there's some rhinos around. That's a possibility. So we'll just head around this next little marshy bit. We'll eventually pop out near the Mara River, but I'm not going to go all the way down towards where the Paradise Pride like to lounge about. You'll probably jump back onto one of these main roads again and then head back towards those lions. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously we're just going to have to take what we find in the grass. Maybe this is a good serval area. Maybe. Mike, you're wondering if there's any animal in the Mara that I haven't seen yet that I'd like to. Yeah, most certainly. I haven't seen a pangolin. I haven't seen a pangolin at all. Not in any location. So that would be quite nice. I'd like to see that Egyptian vulture that Brent was telling me about a few weeks ago. That's around every now and then. And then he was telling me something about a short-toed eagle. We'll have to ask Brent a bit more about that, though. It's another special bird that I think he's going to be searching for that apparently comes around in the Mara at this time of the year. That'd be quite nice. Always good to add a special bird to your list. Otherwise, well, I think I've pretty much seen everything. I've seen aardvark, I haven't seen a caracal here yet. That'd be another good one. But I've seen the serval, seen a striped polecat, seen all sorts of wonderful creatures. An aardvark would probably be another one that I'd absolutely love to see. That'd be a great one. Haven't seen one of those since I've been here. Brent's had all the luck with seeing lions chasing after aardvark. I think we might have a good time on the other side of the river as well. But I'm quite relaxed. I'll take whatever nature wants to throw at me. It'd be nice to learn a bit more about the different types of rodent species that we get here, the different types of gerbils, seeing the different types of rats and mice. That'd be quite cool. A bit of everything, I suppose. And now we hit this section again, where it's a little bit quiet. Where is everything? I'm hiding from the wind today. I'm just checking. Because it's such a cool day, we could see a serval out moving around quite easily. I mean, serval hunt predominantly at night, but they're also out during the day. I've actually seen them hunting in the late mid-morning, sort of between 10 and 12, going after birds and things. So we could see them. It's just going to be almost impossible. I think unless you drive with, say, basically Adrian wouldn't be able to film. He'd have to just stare in the grass this side, and I'd have to stare in the grass this side and hope that we see a serval. That's going to be the only way we spot it. Even with a spotlight now, it's going to be difficult because this grass is pretty thick. Okay, we've got some giraffe. Just check if there's nothing else. One in the tops of the trees. Be nice to see a leopard. But I'm not going to hold my breath for a leopard though. Perhaps it'll rain leopards when I get back to South Africa. That's what I'm really hoping. Hi giraffe, how are you all doing? Something we need to examine is actually on their tails. So let's do that. Let's look at the giraffe tails today. So, you can choose. Yes, that's a good one. Especially because it's going to walk away from us now. Yesterday we saw something interesting on a giraffe's tail around from where the black hair is, just a little bit up from that. We noticed with some of them, or with one, that it had a bit of a mane to it. Almost like the mane that you see on its neck was down on its tail. Now, I don't see that on that giraffe, and I didn't see it on any of the others around there. What a unique feature. And I wonder what happened there. What went wrong with the genetic coding that all of a sudden they got that. But anyways, they're beautiful creatures nonetheless. These ones aren't as relaxed as some of the giraffe we've seen. They're moving away from me fairly quickly, in fact. They actually don't want to have anything to do with me this afternoon. Apparently it's an elephant day. The elephants want to play games with me, which is fine. But these guys are not having anything to do with it. Now they might pop their heads down. You can see that doesn't. What are they feeding on? What could they possibly be eating? They're eating all the tiny little shrubs, all the little forbs and things that are just popping through after all this rain we've had. And she's sticking her tongue, or not she, he. It's a young male. He's sticking his tongue out quite a bit. That bush looks like the bush I'm going to feed on. My goodness, he raced on over there. He couldn't wait to get to that buffet. And then again, I wonder if any of these trees have high tannin contents. Unfortunately, the first problem is that we don't really know what these shrubs are. And I always talk about how difficult it is to identify plants without actually having a plant book with you and a plant book of East Africa. You have to search pretty hard for those. But they nibble on them all day long. Something I've noticed is that the giraffes spend a little bit longer on the plants here feeding, so I don't think they have as high content, although you didn't like something there. So yeah, it used its tongue to, I think it was a piece of grass, in fact, that it sort of spat out. They're beautiful at the moment, the color of the grass. Philip, you're wondering what are the differences between the Maasai and the southern giraffe? So, of course, we're looking at the Maasai giraffe here. So, the fact that they weigh more and they're much taller is a difference. Their pattern is slightly different. You almost get that sort of maple leaf pattern on a Maasai giraffe. Not all of them, though. And there's not too many more differences than that. Their tongues are the same color. They have the same ossicones. The hair on their tail is still black. So it's typically just got to do with their pattern and then their weight and their height. So these guys can stand at 18 feet tall. You've got a little bit to go, though. This is a young male giraffe. He's not anywhere near being able to mate with the females. He's probably only a couple of years old. Maybe 6 or 7 years old, somewhere around there. So still fairly young. Always difficult to age these animals. You just sort of guess whereabouts you think they would be. They're very hungry, nibbling away. and chewing with your mouth open, as do all animals. But let's keep moving. Let's see what else we've got out here. Not even any herds of impala, no buffalo around here either. Megan, I don't know if you're trying to talk to me. All I'm getting is beeps, unfortunately. Right. Very exciting stuff this afternoon. We've had crown crane chicks with Brent. We've had elephants playing around in the marsh with me, and some tall creatures that we just saw. However, Steve, down in the Sabi sand, has managed to find a spotted cat that you all love.
Wonderful morning or afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and on the camera I'm once again with the Wildebeest VM, and we are in the sun. We've decided to come out on Safari Live in the savannah. The temperature right now is 34 degrees Celsius and about 96 degrees Fahrenheit, so it is quite a warm day. We've decided to come and find the little prince, and guess what, folks, we have found him. The only bad news is that the little prince is taking up all the shade in the area, so we are sitting now currently in the warm sun. You can clearly see he's panting very, very hard, and he's not enjoying the heat. What can you do in conditions like this? You can pant. Cats do not have the ability to sweat. And he has not moved much from his previous position. We can still see the tree. We can still see a little bit of the kill in the tree. There's not too much of it. It's just dangling by a thread up there in the weeping wattle. In the sun as well, he's making a little bit of biltong, or for those of you who aren't familiar with biltong, dried jerky. It just needs a bit of salt up there, and the wind is drying it nicely for him in the sun. Doesn't seem to be any flies flying around the carcass, but definitely around him at the moment. Please feel free to send through your questions and comments on the hashtag Safari Live and follow the YouTube chat. We'd love to chat with you this afternoon. I believe a lot of you are happy to see the little prince, as we are. It's my first time seeing him since I've been back, or since my interview. He was glorious enough to grace himself with his presence on my interview, to make for quite a glorious sighting. But look, folks, he's trying to sleep and panting, and look at those beautiful canines. Beautiful, beautiful teeth. You can still see the youngness of the animal by how clean those teeth are. There's no colouring on them. There's no plaque. Very, very good condition. And the three spots above the whiskers, as a lot of people like to identify leopards by those three spots, the top row. You can see there's three, and on the other side I think there's also three, if I'm not mistaken. Could be two. It's difficult to categorize or identify these animals by scratches on the face, because those scratches can change. They can get more. Notches on the ears definitely are a good sign, but that spot pattern on the face is always quite a good one to use. Hello, Jake, and welcome. Yes, of course. What a majestic animal, you say. He is indeed. He is indeed. He is absolutely fantastic. Looking at him, his belly is looking quite full. You can imagine in this heat sitting in the sun, or he's got all the shade in the area, as I mentioned before, but he is very hot and very bloated. He just moved awkwardly a moment ago. His hips were on the other side. When cats get full like this, it's quite often difficult for them to lie down because their belly is so full, and often you'll see them roll on their back, exposing their underbelly. It also helps them with the cooling. There's no other cooling possible to him apart from the panting. And as you can see, he is covered in thick coat of golden fur. So folks, from a spotted cat to a stork with the saddle, we have James Henry on drive.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this end of the show. My exuberant welcome has now frightened away all of the animals. What a disaster. Oh well, sorry about that. Hello, my name is James Hendry. And on camera today we have got David. Here's David's thumb.
Hello.
David is sporting a buff, that is a piece of cloth that he wears around his long hair, a pair of sunglasses, and a hat, the likes of which it's of an indeterminate design. It looks a little bit like he was perhaps a sailor in a storm, combined with a cowboy. Yeah, that's probably it. It's sort of a sailor's cap mixed with that of a cowboy. Very good sun protection. Anyway, that's David. He's on camera today. And, well, as with Brent and Taylor and, of course, Steve with Hosana, please continue to talk to us using the hashtag SmartLab on Twitter. Otherwise, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. That is the all of my housekeeping. Apparently, it's 34 degrees Celsius today. I think it's much hotter than that, but it probably isn't. Let's see if we can find the saddle-billed stork again, the one that I chased away with my exuberant welcome and hello. Hello, Katie. You're wondering what the purpose of thick fur is when animals live in such warm temperatures, and that's a very good question. The purpose, of course, is, as you would think it, for insulation. Now that means, of course, that the fur is there to regulate the body temperature, make sure it doesn't get too hot, at least too cold. But what it also does, of course, is potentially keep in too much heat from the body. And that's what you've picked up on. What you will find is that in most areas of the world, and it's actually much more pronounced in the northern hemisphere where temperatures tend to be a lot more extreme, you'll find that the animals have a winter and a summer coat. So they will have a much thinner coat in the warmer months than they do in the hot, in the cold months, where it'll be much thicker. But also, above that, you'll find that they need the fur for coloration quite often, and so something like a leopard, which is gold and white and black, well, they need that fur for camouflage. That helps them for camouflage, and really it's not thick fur. The stuff on the belly is often quite thick, but that's why them in the sun, but the rest of the fur is probably only about that long, especially in summertime. So they're not that furry, and they'll be a lot less furry than animals that live in colder climates. And then, of course, they will avoid going out in the sun too much. Now, I failed to find the sadly billed stork, but there were some pigs just up ahead. Ooh, a lot of pigs. Now, the pigs out here tend to be very nervous of life. And there they are. Beautiful pigs, marvelous stuff. Now, of course, the father of Hosana is a devourer of pigs, and perhaps the leopard you're going to see now will one day also be a bacon eater.
To have fur or not to have fur, that is definitely the question. And this cat definitely does have fur, and the advantages I think James has been, or disadvantages James has been spelling out for you. Definitely the fur will help them in the winter months. In the summer months, yes, we would think it is definitely an disadvantage, but the winters get very, very cold here, and the nights the animals don't have anywhere to shelter themselves properly. They don't have homesteads like we do. I'm pretty sure millions of years ago we would have been a lot hairier than we are today. Some of us are still quite hairy, but we would have been much more of a hairier hominid back in the day before we invented the use of clothes. But this afternoon, folks, we've got the thoughts of possibly just staying here with Hosana for a little bit. Maybe he go up the tree again for a short while. Maybe he'll do some feeding. We're not too sure. You never know what might happen. We might have a visitor. You know, Tundi's close by in the area, possibly. A question there from Sea Control. Do you think they eat less when it's this hot? I don't know if they eat less. I think they eat their fill and then they sit and digest it and then are worried or disappointed with themselves for eating so much. They definitely eat as much as they can in a sitting. And, oh, there we go. there's the belly. He's told us he's had enough. Basically, after Christmas, do you think we eat? In South Africa, we have Christmases in the summer. So I've grown up eating lots and lots of food in the summer months. And I don't think I would eat more in the winter if it was the same spread. It's hard to say. Christmas for me has always been a very hot time of year. It's been a very, very hot time of year. And so I think we still eat a lot, you know. It's all about the flavor. I think you might eat less when the food starts to get a little bit decrepit up in the tree there. It's sitting in the sun, it's exposed, it's become a bit, there doesn't seem to be too much flesh in it. There's only fur on there now. So to answer your question, I think they eat when they're hungry, and whether they eat less or more is debatable. It's all about hunger. When we look at animals, and if you think about yourselves, for example, when you come home from somewhere and you are hungry, you've all experienced this, you are so hungry you could kill somebody. This is what we're talking about, drivers and everything in an animal's behavior. Now, we talk about animals being fearful of something, or being hungry, or having a sexual interest in something. And if you think about an animal's drivers, each one of these, dependent on how strong each driver is in an animal's sort of makeup, will determine that animal's behavior. That's why when you look back in the past, whenever there's been attacks by wild animals, especially lions or leopards, on humans, you look at those animals that have eventually been caught and put out of their misery, and that animal is an old, injured, sick female or male with broken teeth, emaciated, and actually starving. So what has happened is their fear of man, which is a driver, has been outweighed by their hunger drive. So they are willing to actually do something that they wouldn't normally do because they are so hungry. So when we come home from someone who say we're so hungry we could kill, I'm sure we all understand that until you've had that little bit of food in you. My friend, actually, it's his birthday today, Neil Patterson in Johannesburg. He is one of the grumpiest men I know when it comes to not eating. And the best thing to do is just feed him very quickly, and his mood changes very quickly. If any of you out there can relate, let us know. But that is the truth with animals, you know. That's why when males and female leopards or lions are mating, they generally don't seem to eat for a few days, but that's what makes them quite aggressive, because they seem to forget about food, because they are so interested in the drive, the love drive that's going on, the need to mate, the sexual energy. And suddenly you can approach that animal, unbeknown to you, that animal becomes extremely aggressive, and you could potentially be attacked, because that animal has suddenly realized that it's actually hungry, and that hunger drive suddenly jumps forward to the front of the blocks and outweighs the current sexual drive. So that is how humans are made up. That's how animals are made up, and it's always important to try and understand these things in animals, and to not try and judge, but just know that yes, the animal's hungry or it's not hungry. If an animal's sick, it's always very important to be very careful that behavior is not going to be the same as if that animal was in fully good, healthy condition. I hope that answers your question. But Hosana here is quite enjoying the comfortable grass, and he is hogging all the shade, folks. We are sitting nicely in this 95 degrees sunshine. So from a hot and sunny savannah in the south of South Africa, we are sending you all the way up to the Mara, where Taylor, I believe, is a little bit cooler than we are.
Got that right, Steve. I am indeed a little bit on the cold side this afternoon. But even Brent is. And, I mean, it's my own fault. I'm wearing shorts. Should be wearing long pants on a day like today. But we just don't often have weather like this. This is probably the coldest it's been since I've been here in the Mara. We're normally blessed with lovely warm days. Sometimes the wind gets a bit hectic, and when it pours with rain and you're soaked, yes, then you get cold. Otherwise, you live in shorts all the time, shorts and t-shirts. But that's not the case today. I'm going to drive up this road. There were so many cars, but still 77 million cars. We'll see if we can get a view of these lions. So yeah, I just wanted to look at something before we go there. Nothing. I thought I saw another lion, but it wasn't. It was a Logosaurus. Kitty kitty bang bang. I feel like that's a name I haven't heard for a very long time. You're wondering, have I ever seen a porcupine in the Mara? I have. I've actually seen this pride of lions that we're going to have a look at, hopefully in a little moment. If you watched from the beginning of the show, you would have seen them. I've seen them chasing after a porcupine one night. One of my first nights of staying out quite late in the triangle. It was pretty cool. They gave up though. They realized what a prickly situation they'd got themselves in, and then thought, nah, we'll go for something else. Wildebeest is probably easier. And luckily they did so. And they did end up catching some wildebeest that night too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to see them all again. It might be in the long grass. If they're in the long grass, we're going to keep going. Again, we can't off-road here. We can't really get close. Oh. Hang on, there's a lion that seems to be a little bit closer than where we were before. It's not great, unfortunately, but 12 o'clock, you wouldn't even be able to see it from just staring at the distance I am. But as soon as we go in a little bit closer, a little bit to the right, there we go. You're on it. There are some lions. What are they doing? Such a great view. I want to get the lawnmower out and just come and trim all the grass. Wouldn't that make it a little bit easier? I think they're just grooming themselves at the moment. They've moved a little bit closer to the road, but even though they've moved closer to the road, that is our view of the cats. It's just grass. Amazing. This is my favorite. I'm not going to stay here, everybody. That is me done with this lion sighting. I'm going to go and look for the jackals, rather. Everybody's giving up. As soon as that little line went flat, they just heard all the cars' engines going, getting ready. I can't believe it. Come on, Mila. Where's your strength? There you go. Right, sorry everybody. This is wild. The animals don't want to be seen today. The lions want to lay in the long grass. There's very little we can do about that. So what we're going to try and do is sneak past everybody. The view is not any better here either. Even if we get closer, it actually gets even worse. In fact, much worse. We were lucky. We had a little gap, but then when they decided to go horizontal, it didn't quite work. We'll come back in a little bit. Maybe our friends, the jackals, will be around. There you go. Just passing everyone. Right. So, jackals is what we'll be searching for next. Maybe we'll get lucky. Brent, however, has decided to play a game of copycat, and he's with an elephant.
Well, can you believe there's one of the largest creatures in the world in that croton thicket? Now, the reason we spotted him is we're not sure whether it's a male and a female. I don't think so. I think it's two young males, but one... and all seems calm. But fortunately, we have some more elephants up ahead. More nonsense happening in there. No. Oh dear, it seems like we are having some gremlin problems this afternoon. Hopefully they get rectified very shortly. But in the meantime, let's go back across to Jamesy.
No, everybody. Ah, hello. Again, as you've come to us again, I thought we'd sort of complete the little circle here. Come on, yes, there it is, the saddle-billed stork that is desperate not to appear Safari Live today. That is its bottom, sticking out from underneath a bush. It is trying to catch froggies and such here in the little pan, south of Twin Dams, which of course is the dam at the very south of our reserve. And while that is the most recalcitrant saddle-billed stork in the world, I think we'll probably just head a little bit forward. There are some elephants up ahead, which is very exciting indeed. And also some waterbuck. a great plethora of... Now, I'm hoping we won't lose signal here. We should be okay. Seems to be dipping, but we did the sighting here. Holiday. Right, let's just move. Now move into a position. Bit of break up. I'm not sure we're going to get a good view of the elephants. Yes, we are going to get some. Well, we can sort of see them. I would rather and have something to drink. But we will head to Chitwa Dam very shortly, because on a hot day like this, well, I say this now and it'll probably prove me wrong, but there's bound to be something coming down to have a drink, like elephants. That was my main hope. There are some in there. Anyway, they're not particularly confiding, so let's have a look at the buck, which is lying in the shade, like any self-respecting mammal is doing now, chewing his cud. And he's not even chewing his cud, he's just having a rest, poor fellow. Quite interesting here, just look at the way his nose and head almost disappear into the bush behind. I don't know if you can just look at his muzzle. Can you zoom out slightly, Dov? Yeah. Now, if you look at him, his colour very much resembles the trunk of behind him. Now, they live in own areas, which means the sort of transitions between vegetation types are
The gremlins have taken us. Sorry everybody about that. Adrian and I were just talking about his background, and don't you think he's doing a fantastic job considering that wildlife filming is new? And are you enjoying it, Adrian?
I'm enjoying it a lot.
You're enjoying it alone. He loves it. I suppose it's one thing filming people and music events and movies and sports shows and things like that, but this is a whole different ball game. This is pretty spectacular. So I was just finding out a little bit more about Adrian. So yeah, so very cool. It's nice to have you on board. I'm glad you got to experience those cool elephants. That was a really nice sighting they had. Also, my left eye is watering. I don't know what's wrong with it. It just doesn't want to stop watering, in case you see me rubbing it all the time. We're still looking for the jackals. I can't find them just yet. But they were around this area yesterday, so maybe they'll still be around. But as you know, those jackals like to wander a little bit further away from home, and I don't know if they're going to be curled up again in the long grass to try and escape the cold weather. But somebody that's not experiencing any cold weather is, of course, Steve down in South Africa with Hosana, and I'm sure he's still panting away.
COVID. And we are in the hot sun with the panting cat, from the coolness of the Mara to the heat of Djuma, the roar of the lion. The Hosana is lying flat, folks. He's a bit irritated with some flies that are flying around his face, but isn't that just cute? He's such a cat when he rolls over like that. You almost think it would be possible to just walk up and scratch him on the belly, but don't be fooled, folks. This is a wild, wild animal, and he is a magnificent one. I've seen lions and leopards do this, I've seen my dogs do it back in the day when flies are irritating them, and they snap and snap and snap and trying to catch the fly. But it is a very, very difficult job to do with a mouth that is half sleepy. So you can see by him rolling over like that, he's trying to expose the belly to a little bit of coolness. He's very, very full. And VM and I were just discussing, because we believe yesterday it was said that the kill in the tree is an impala. And then on chatting with James just before coming out, he believes it was a young wildebeest. And now VM is reckoning it's a young kudu, and I'm thinking it's a young nyala. So if anybody out there can have a look clearly at the picture and give us their opinion of what they think that might be. There are clearly some stripes on the body there, which I think eliminates wildebeest and impala. And the fur is quite brown and quite long. So between kudu and nyala, I think. Let's see what the viewers have to say. A good question from Francis is, how long will it take him to digest all the food? Now, I'm not sure how big this animal was that it ate. A young antelope, it seems probably between 15 and 20 kilograms. Now, a leopard can feed in one sitting on about 16 kilograms, so that's about 35 pounds or so of meat, 37 pounds of meat. That is a lot of food in one sitting. So quite easily he could have ingested half of that and then more, but it would probably take them a few days to really knock it down. But by feeding on such a huge amount of meat enables these cats, lions included, to go for a week, 2 weeks without feeding. Don't be fooled and think they will go that long without feeding. It just means that they can. Having a huge protein diet like that is also what it causes them to have such a sleepy nature. They have no vegetables going in. They have huge protein coming in, and it requires huge amounts of bodily energy to just lie there and digest it. So how long will it take fully to be digested is a difficult question to say, but I'd say he'd be up and moving away from here by tomorrow quite easily. But from the heat here and Hosana panting, we'll take you to another man who's just back from leave, Brent up in the Mara. I believe he has something that runs quite fast. Let's see what he has for you in the cool of the Mara.
Well, we've got some zebra crossing the little lugger that the lions normally hang out in, but they're looking quite nervous, so I just wanted to wait and see if there was anything around. But there doesn't seem to be. I think they just decided to have a silly few minutes charging about. And they're very cautiously crossing that tiny bit of water. To get through and then take off. But at the moment, not just yet. The first ones that came through here. Apparently we are still having a few tech difficulties. I do apologize. Remember, this is 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. So unfortunately, sometimes we do have a little struggle, but hopefully it'll be rectified shortly. Quite windy, quite cool, so quite a big comparison from South Africa. And the last of the zebra have crossed the lugger. They're all joining up with a big herd over there. And there we go, they seem to just sort of charge in. Oh, there we go, they started charging again, up and down. Sea Control's wondering if we were on foot with these zebras, run from you? Most definitely, I'm pretty sure they would. I think they're just having a silly moment. Look at them chasing each other about, running up and down and everywhere. And there's some crowned cranes in the foreground, as well as some topi. Oh, let's go back up to the zebra there, charging about a little bit to the right. Big games going on. So it looks like they're just playing there. A nice cool afternoon, so they're able to jump up and down, chasing each other around. But quite often they've got to be careful, because when you play in weather like this, there might be a lion watching you. So there we go, charging off. Little buck. And it's quite fun to watch animals play from time to time. Oh, still going at it. Chasing each other up and around. There, top left almost. A little bit to the left of the termite mound. Proud cat mama is wondering, what are zebra's biggest threats? Well, the obvious one is lions, hyenas, and each other. Zebra stallions can be very, very aggressive and often kill foals if they're not their own. Cheetah, less so. Leopard, less so. Lion and hyena are the two biggest threats to them. Well,